हरे कृष्णा माता जी।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, प्रणाम प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
So you are in Bangalore, Mataji?
No प्रभु जी, I am in Chennai.
Oh, Chennai, where?
Chennai, Nambattur.
Ambattur. So we are in Nanganallur.
Oh, Chennai only प्रभु जी। हरे
Oh.
कृष्ण। I'm very sorry प्रभु जी, I'm in the kitchen. I'll just.
Tamil also, you can talk also Tamil? What?
Tamil, yes प्रभु जी.
Okay. Mother tongue is Tamil.
Mother tongue is Malayalam.
Malayalam, oh, evideyana?
In Kerala प्रभु जी, but born and brought up in Bangalore.
Okay.
Palakkad.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome प्रभु जी to the
Hare
ICF
Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam class. Prabhuji, I'll start with the Kirtan, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Is it okay, Prabhuji?
Yeah, another 5 minutes are there. You can.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. No one has joined. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yes. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण
Mataji.
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
हरे
Mataji, Prabhuji is
हरे
there.
राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गुरुदेव जय 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 गुरुदेव हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी प्रणाम प्रभु जी माता जी
Hare
अपॉलजीज माता जी
No
प्रभु जी
problem. No problem. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Welcome you on ICF forum, Prabhuji. Very nice to see you after a long time, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
We missed your association. Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you want me to share the screen for the Bhagavatam?
Please.
Or Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Ma.
हरे कृष्ण
Mataji, you have to increase the font.
Hare Krishna, I have increased the font. I should reduce it, you are saying?
No, Mataji, because the font is very small. Whoever wants to read, it may be difficult for them.
Okay. Let me see how I can.
Because I have my own separate windows, I am going to look at it. This is only for devotees who are going to read that.
Okay. To me, it is
Hare
looking
Krishna Mataji.
okay.
Yes, Mataji, little more bigger Mataji.
Individually also they can do it with their screen if they can have the.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Done?
Is it visible, devotees? Or should I still increase because I am unable to see
Yes,
how
it's
to.
fine, Mataji, it's fine.
It's okay.
Yes,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
We
Hare
can
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Start.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We'll start right now. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhadi Swapadhandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagagana Raghunathanvitam Tatsya Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagagana Dalita Shri Vishaka Anvitamscha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swamin Niti Namine Namahacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayane Gaurakatada Madaya Nagara Grama Tarine हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। With the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we are into the third canto, 23rd chapter. It is titled Devahuti.
Lamentation.
Devahuti is having the wonderful situation, but she is not fully satisfied. That's what we are going to go through now. Because as we go through that, it will be very interesting how Kardama Muni has displayed his yogic powers. So, and we are in the shloka number 13, and we have to cover up to 23rd. So, there are around 7 shlokas. We will try to cover it as much as we can.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, we have to start from shloka 17.
Yeah, 1-7.
Yes,
So,
Hare
there
Krishna.
are 7 shlokas we have to cover today. Okay. As we heard, Kardama Prajapati, he was married to Devahuti. Devahuti is one of the daughters of Swayambhu Manu, and so today, as we see that Devahuti was very much involved into austerities because she got married to a sage, and who is also a powerful sage at the same time, and he was living in a small little hut. In the hermitage, Devahuti was observing so much of penance, so much of austerities also, and begetting of children, and it was all required because Kardama is a Prajapati. So she wanted to have a big palace and everything posh. But interestingly, after getting all these things, she was astounded and she was not willing to continue there. This is a very important aspect of life we have to understand. So the modest way of life is always better. When we get into the posh life, then it is always, we will not feel comfortable. So getting into the shlokas, today's shloka, let us start with this. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale vakshastale kaustubam nasagre varamautikam kartale vurnukare kanganam sarvange harichandanam sulalitam kantecha muktavali gopastri pariveshtito vijayate gopala chudamani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. 3:23:17. Tatra Tatra Vinikshipta Nana Shilpopa Shobhitam Maha Markata Stalya Jushtam Vidruma Vedivihi Tatra Tatra Vinikshipta Nana Shilpopa Shobhitam Maha Markata Stalya Jushtam Vidruma Vedivihi. You can call out the devotees' names so that they
Yes,
can
Prabhuji.
read.
Prabhuji, you want us to read the purport or only translation?
Try to understand. First, we will read the synonyms, then we will read the translation, then we will read the purport if it is there.
Hare Krishna. Suma Mataji, you read the verse. So Vasudha Mataji, the synonyms. Padma Mataji, purport, translation and purport both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Pranams, Prabhuji. Tatra tatra vinikshipta nana shilpo pashobhitam.
Mataji, I requested
Hare
state
Krishna.
synonyms, translation, purport.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji. Yes. Suma
Because we have to
Mataji.
cover 7 slokas today, that's the reason.
Yes,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
okay, Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare
Pranams, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Synonyms: Tatra Tatra, here and there. Vinikshipta, placed. Nana, various. Shilpa, by artistic engravings. Upashobhitam, extraordinarily beautiful. Mahamarkata, of great emeralds. Sthalya, with a floor. Jushtam, furnished. Vidruma, of coral. Vedibi, with raised platforms. Daisies.
Vasudha Mataji, you read the translation and the purport. They are both small only.
Hare Krishna. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Its beauty was enhanced by artistic engravings here and there on the walls. The floor was of emerald with coral daisies. Purport, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. At the present moment, people are very proud of their architectural life, yet floors are generally decorated with colored cement. It appears, however, that the castle constructed by the yogic powers of Kardama Muni had floors of emerald with coral daisies. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So now we can see the opulences. See, one has to understand a few things in this regard. Kardama Muni, a great devotee of the Lord, and he had done so much of yogas and he has achieved perfection. So with his yogic powers, he created the palace, or you can call it as castle. Such a huge palace, palatial, they call it as, right? So in the palace, there were everywhere so much of opulences. Grandeur, you can, the right word, you can use it also. Because each and everything is surpassing the beauty or surpassing the grandness of each and everything. So when we look at it, how is it possible? Because as we see here, there are 8 types of yoga siddhis, right? So with that, they can do so many wonders. But once they achieve the perfection, they have to be very cautious, because generally those who are materialistic people, they try to achieve yogic powers. And we have seen in the Puranas, there are so many examples, starting from Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and so on. They also enjoyed lots of grandeur things. They also enjoyed so many opulences. But unfortunately, they misused it and they lost everything. When we talk about Ramayana and we talk about the Lanka, it was completely golden. Completely golden. Can you imagine that? So that means with so much of powers, he had not utilized it in the service of Krishna, unfortunately. So here also, when we see that Kardama Muni, in the previous verse, it is explained, this palatial castle has so much of beauty on its own. How? Because there were so many paintings, so many engravings, carvings, and whatnot. So when we talk about this art, it is beyond our material conception. We can't imagine that. So as we see here, some amount of beauty or some amount of richness we can see in the olden days of temples constructed by the great Rajarishi kings, like the Chola, Pallava, and so on. And later on, in the present situation, we can see such a beauty in many of the ISKCON temples, where they give so much of importance to the grandeur things for the Lord. Because Prabhupada is very clear, whatever we do for the Lord, it has to be very grandeur, with full of opulences, which is available with us. So with all keeping in that mind, when Prabhupada made so many temples, all the temples were all simply wonderful. So those who visit various temples, they can observe it. Since we visited last year to US so many places, all these were changed from churches to temples. And one cannot imagine so much of modifications and so much of richness, beauty, and the chandeliers and so many things, the walls, the benches, everything was very grandeur. So here it is talking about the grandiousness and how it says, generally we paint our floor or we paint our wall and we talk so much, so beauty and all, but that's nothing. But we talk about here, the floor were completely made up of emerald. Can you imagine that? And again, it's not only with emerald, it is added with so much of coral also. So the coral basis means it gives so much of reflection. That's why in olden days, these type of big palaces, they need not have any lamps or anything. For the simple reason is, if the lights and other effects comes from this wonderful gems. We say Navaratna, right? So all these things are put into the construction. So that means the entire palace was so rich. And Prabhupada in the purport, he mentions the floor are decorated with so much of emerald, and on top of it, it has got coral laces also. But nowadays, we talk about our house. Oh, I have built such a wonderful house, all these things we talk, but this is nothing. Because here, Kardamamani with his mystic powers or the yoga powers, he has done so much. It's all amazing, amazing, and astounding. At one point of time, Kardama himself is astounded. Even Devahuti is also astounded. Okay, moving on to the next verse.
Padma Mataji.
Padma Mataji, you do the verse.
1 minute. Let me read the sloka
Hare
twice.
Krishna.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay, Prabhuji.
Dvasu vidruma dehalya bhatam vajra kapatavat shikare vindra nileshu hema kumbhair adshritam dvasu vidruma dehalya bhatam vajra kapatavat Sikare Svindra Nileshu Hema Kumbhair Adishritam. In this, I tell you, please focus on the verses and focus on the phrases also. Certain phrases we might have heard about it, and it's also familiar for us. We can understand what the meaning of it is. Nileshu, the color is bluish. Indra Nileshu, that's another added adjective for the blue. When we talk about Krishna, he is called blackish, bluish, right? So Krishna is also called as bluish boy. Huh? So like this Nila is slightly different from that. Then it talks about the Hema Kumbha. Kumbha means anything kalasa on top of it when you keep the Kumbha. And how it is made up of? It's made up of Hema. Hema means gold. So like this, we can try to understand certain phrases in that. Okay, now I request to read the synonyms and translation.
Padma Mataji, you read the synonyms. And Shanti Mataji, the translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dvasu in the entrances, Viduruma of coral, Dehalya with a threshold, Bhatam beautiful, Vajra bedecked with diamonds, Kapatva with having those, Shikhareshu on the domes, Indra Nileshu of sapphires, Hema Kumbhe with gold pinnacles, Adhisritam crowned. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation with Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The palace was very beautiful with its coral thresholds at the entrances and its doors bedecked with diamonds. Gold pinnacles crowned its domes of sapphire. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So he talks about all the valuable jewels, all the ratnas. Oh, when we talk about it, we can't imagine that because it's all highly sophisticated gems. What we get nowadays presently may be a little bit okay with us, but these are all very high qualities. As we see that, again, the Sanskrit also we have to observe it here. It talks about Dvashu. Dvashu means entrance, it says. See, in Sanskrit we call this Dwaram. Dwaram means entrance. That's why in English you get the word door. So like this, lots of phrases from Sanskrit is copied into English. So Indra Nileshu, it talks about the blue sapphire. Then it talks about Hema Kumbhi, it is with gold pinnacles. Such a wonderful thing. So, okay, here when we see that the palace was very beautiful. It's not merely written beautiful, it says very beautiful. Each and every aspect of it is so beautiful. With its doors, with its coral thresholds at the entrances. That means as you enter the threshold, because the door is having what? Coral things. And the doors, when we open the door and close the door, all these doors are bedecked with diamonds. Can you imagine that? And next it says, gold pinnacles crowned its domes of sapphire. Sapphire dome, on top of it, the gold is also there. See, in this connection, I would like to refer something which is also opulent. When Nanda Maharaj was in the Vrindavan, in the Dwapara, and the proof of that is also there in the Bhagavatam as well as in the Tirupavai. Tirupavai, many of you might not have heard. Tirupavai is the 30 verses composed or compiled by Sri Sri Andal Nachiyar of the Sri Sampradaya. Many of you might have heard about it. Generally, we celebrate this Andal Nachiyar so much during the month of Margashirsha. So when we say Margashirsha, according to the South calendar, it starts 15th of December and goes up to 14th of January. So during this time, we always read or sing this wonderful Tirupavai, wherein Andal Nachiyar describes the beautiful palace of Nanda Baba. One can ask question, right? He's only a cowherd community guy, how much he has got wealth like that. But Prabhupada explains in many of his purport, the real wealth of a family or a kutumba lies basically the amount of cows, how many we have, number of cows. So that is the real richness. So that's why here, when we talk about this beauty of the Nanda Baba's palace, Andal Nachiyar says one thing. I'll just read the Tamil verse and I will try to explain in English for all of you. Many of you might know that. Okay. Many of you may know Tamil. Okay, I'll just read it quickly and I'll go to that. She talks about like this in the verse number 9. Thumani Madatta Suttum Vilakkeria, Dubam Kamada Tuil Naimel, Kanvalarum Maman Mahale, Manikadavam Tal Tiravai. The Manikadavam is explained by various Vaishnava Acharyas. It talks about all the top class gems available. Navaratnam, we say that, no? It's all studded on the doors. Whose doors? The palace of Nanda Baba in Vrindavana. So Andal Nachiyar emphasizes the doors are so expensive and so opulent. Again, when we talk about the palace of Nanda Baba, Andal Nachiyar says it's not only palace, it is the temple of Krishna, because Krishna resides in that palace. So like that, she explains, and further in verses also, she talks about it, which I will describe again a little later. Some more verses are also there, which talks about, again, same Manikadavam is coming in one more place. What does she say? Manikadavam Tal Teravai. That means the doors are studded with jewels. So when we talk about same description, there are n number of references in Bhagavatam itself. As we see Dwaraka, we know that Dwaraka was very special and the Lord created it because the disturbances created by Jarasandha and so on. He wanted to shift from Mathura to Dwaraka. So he engaged his assistant. Who is that? Anybody remembers? specialist in construction? I am unable to quickly.
Vishwakarma Prabhuji.
Vishwakarma. Very good. So Vishwakarma was instructed to construct this. There is one more person also who is specialist in construction, Maya Dhanava. You might have heard about him. Both are different type of constructions. So Dwaraka is so rich and so opulent. That's why when Lord Krishna was in Vrindavan, he was in the simplest form. The Lord possesses all opulences we read, and the Lord has to display it, right? So that he displayed is in Dwaraka. Similarly, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita also, many places Krishna posed himself as a servant or a charioteer of Arjuna. At one point of time, Arjuna wanted to see his opulence, and the Lord showed his full opulence. That is the chapter number 11. In the 10th also, he described about the Vibhuti. Vibhuti means all his opulences. So this way, here, the palace of Kardama, what he created by his yogic powers, are simply wonderful. And it next shloka, we will move on to that. Shloka number 19.
Sudha Mataji, you can read after Prabhuji does the verse, you can read the synonyms, and Prashanti Mataji, the translation and purport.
Okay. Chakshut mat padmaragha grai vajrabitteshu nirmitaihi jushtam vichitra vaitanai maharhai hematoranaihi chakshushmat padma ragha grai vajrabitteshu nirmitaihi jushtam vichitra vaitanai maharhai hema toranaihi. Here you can see that, no? The toranams. Toranam means the hangings. It's all made up of hema, golden. Okay, wonderful. So devotee can read the synonyms and the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Tanda Pranam, Hare Krishna Mataji. Chakshu mat, as if possessed of eyes, Padmaraga with rubies, Agrai choicest, Vajra of diamond, with tissue on the walls, Nirmitai set, Yuftam furnished, Vichitra various, Vaitanai with canopies, Maha Arai, Arhai, greatly valuable, Hema Toranai with gates of gold. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation by Prabhupada ki Jai. With the choice rubies set in its diamond walls, it appeared as though possessed of eyes. It was furnished with wonderful canopies and greatly valuable gates of gold. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Artistic jewelry and decorations giving the appearance of eyes are not imaginary. Even in recent times, the Mughal emperors constructed their palaces with decorations of jeweled birds with eyes made of valuable stones. The stones have been taken away by the authorities, but the decorations are still present in some of the castles constructed by the Mughal emperors in New Delhi. The royal palaces were built with jewels and rare stones resembling eyes, and thus at night they would give off reflective light without need of lamps. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Here the description continues about the wonderful palace. Prabhupada writes, choicest means what? The choices are that, above the choices, there is something beyond that. That's why Prabhupada writes, rubies, the choicest rubies, the best. Set its diamond walls. So the walls are not made up of bricks or cement. It's made up of diamond, and on all those walls, what are the rubies? And the rubies are so wonderful. It looks like the wall has got ices also. We say that, no? Even the walls will have ears when we talk about secret. We say that, right? Similarly, here the walls are also having wonderful eyes. That's what it resembles. Then it talks about furnished with wonderful canopies. See, Uparika and all those things, we can hear it nowadays, no? Now they say canopy, right? This is nothing. In further shlokas, we can understand Prabhupada glorifies this particular castle, how tall it is. That's also coming in the next verses. And all these canopies are again greatly valuable gates of gold. So the gates are made up of gold. Can you imagine that? So wonderful. So in the purport, Prabhupada says the artistic things are there time immemorial. Nowadays, we people say, oh, this is a wonderful imagination they have done like this. But this is nothing. Especially the Bharat Varsh before the invasion of other countries, it was very rich, very rich. Even though also it's very rich, undoubtedly. But those who came, they looted and went off. Whatever was available here, they built so many wonderful monuments, right? And people are going to that. This is nothing. So they used all the marbles, they used all the granites, all these things. And interestingly, what these Mughal kings did, they used all the gems which were available and decorated it much more better. So there were wonderful birds image or birds statue, and these were also jeweled with so many. Can you imagine that? So the eyes of the birds were also again made up of jewels. So this way, it was all invaluable stones which were available and they used it. But interestingly, when they went back, they looted all these wonderful gems and other things and they left behind the buildings only. That's why Prabhupada writes, even now in New Delhi, you can see the constructions, the castles, but not the wonderful, valuable jewels or gems. So what I say, the royal palace are built with jewels and rare stones. This is very important. That's why there it is written here, choicest. And resembles eyes. From a distance, if you see, it will be like an eye. Why it is done like that, eye? Because Prabhupada explains, the light reflection comes automatically. And there is no need of a lamp. Because these type of stones are, as I told you, it's all Navaratna. It has got its own quality of reflection and producing lights. Shamantakamani, you might have heard in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, right? Jambavan also fought for it. There were so many, Satyajit, a long list, a big story. So here also, this type of stones had the special effect of reflection, producing so much of light. Okay, moving on to the next verse. Hamsa paravata vratai tatra tatra nikunjitam kritiman manyamanai swan adi ruhya dihuruhya cha hamsa paravata vratai tatra tatra nikunjitam kritiman manyamanai swan adiruhya cha. Yes, start.
Shobha Mataji, you can read the synonyms. Sindhu Mataji translation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Snanam. Hamsa of swans, Paravatha of pigeons, Vrathai with multitudes, Tatra Tatra here and there, Nikunjitam vibrated, Kritiman artificial, Manya Manai thinking, Swan belonging to their own kind, Adiruhya rising repeatedly, Sha and Haribol. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, pranams Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Text 20, translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Here and there in that palace were multitudes of live swans and pigeons, as well as artificial swans and pigeons, so lifelike that the real swans rose above them again and again, thinking them live birds like themselves. Thus the palace vibrated with the sounds of these birds. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you imagine? See, there were no sound system like the Panasonic or anything of that type. These were the real sounds which were produced. And these are all amazing, right? There were real birds and there were also artificial, wonderful birds resemblance with lots of stones also, right? So that means here we can understand these are all artistic. And Prabhupada writes, in this palace, multitude means you cannot count it. It's such a innumerable, right? Live swans and pigeons. So there were pigeons and swans. Nowadays we get lots of pigeons everywhere, but not the swans. Where there is water, then only the swan will come. So there were also artificial swans and pigeons. All these swans and pigeons were also making noise, artificial ones. So the noise made by these artificial ones encouraged the other live pigeons and swans. So this way, they were all having a wonderful mood. All the birds were making chirping sounds. And these are all amazing in the entire palace. So the palace is full of vibrations. What type of vibrations? Sounds of all these birds. So many of us are missing this wonderful opportunity of chirping sounds of the birds. As we move from village, we lost all our valuable things. We have to agree on this point. As we come into a metro city like Chennai, Bangalore, whatever you call it is. Unfortunately, due to the wonderful, what's it called? Towers. What are that? Mobile towers. It has spoiled the atmosphere terribly. Unfortunately, we do not know that. Many of the migrating birds are also not coming. Many of the birds which were making sound were also down. Because there are some inabilities comes to this type of birds because of these towers. So this way, we are missing these sounds. Again, when we talk about these wonderful sounds of the birds, again, the Tirupavai Andal Nachar also describes in many of her verses in the 30 pasurams. She says, did you not hear the cuckoo bird sound? Did you not hear the so many other bird sound? Like that, she keeps on asking. So this is a wonderful thing. In the villages, only one can have it. Okay, moving on to the next verse.
Krishnamurti Prabhuji, you can read the synonyms after Prabhuji finishes the verse.
Yeah, wait. Sloka number 21. Vihara sthana vishrama sambesha prangana jiraihi yatopa josham rachitaihi vismapanam ivatmanaha Vihara sthana vishrama sambesha prangana jiraihi yatopa josha yatopa josham rachitaihi vismapana vivatmanaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Synonymous. Viharasthana, pleasure grounds. Vishrama, resting chambers. Samvesha, bedrooms. Prangana, inner yards. Ajirehi, with outer yards. Yatha upanjasam, according to comfort. Risayachitaha, which were designed. Vimapanam, causing astonishment. Iva, indeed. Atmanaha, to himself. Kardama. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
Rishabhanu Mataji, you can read the translation, and Anita Mataji, the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji and Mataji. The castle had pleasure grounds, resting chambers, bedrooms, and inner and outer yards designed with an eyes to comfort. All this caused astonishment to the sage himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anita Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sharmila Mataji, you can
Yes.
read the
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Kardama Muni, being a saintly person, was living in a humble hermitage, but when he saw the palace constructed by his yogic powers, which was full of resting rooms, rooms for sex enjoyment, and inner and outer yards, he himself was astonished. That is the way of a God-gifted person. Our devotee, like Kardama Muni, exhibited such opulence by his yogic power at the request of his wife, but when the opulence was produced, he himself could not understand how such manifestations could be possible. When a yogi's power is exhibited, the yogi himself is sometimes astonished. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So just now I was talking about Andal Nachyar, wherein she also describes about the various type of toranas, the hangings, and she talks about the duja. As we enter the house, the palace had a duja also, and it had also had different type of securities. So this way, again, she further describes about the wonderful cot on which the Lord is lying down. So when you listen to that, you'll be wondering, such a powerful, it describes about the cot. Here also it talks about the restroom, right? In this verse, there in that verse, what it explains, I will first complete the Bhagavatam, then I'll go to Tirupavi, where she talks about. So here it talks about the castle had pleasure grounds. Pleasure ground means where the union of men and women were taking place. So that means there is a secluded place. This is what very important for us. We have to understand that how the Sanskriti was done in olden days. Because nowadays after marriage, they take the couple to some hotels, they book some rooms, all this nonsense are happening. Very unfortunate. Because according to the Shastra, it says Garbhadana Samskara, it says. So it should be a proper sanctified place. They have to have the union. Unfortunately, nowadays it's missing. That's why here Kardama Muni made a special pleasure ground. That's why Prabhupada writes, it talks about the place where they can have sex indulgence. And it's exclusive for them. So this way, resting chambers were also there, bedrooms were there, and all this were so nicely designed with an eye to comfort. So it is not a pain to the eyes, it's a comfort to the eyes. So this is the way the construction or the design of the palace was done by Kardama Muni. Imagine that Kardama Muni has got such a yogic power, he could do this. All this caused astonishment to the sage himself. Finally, what happened? He himself was astonished. He could not believe it. That means what? The yoga powers has got so much of effect, right? We call Krishna as what? Anybody can say that when it comes to yoga?
Yogeshwara.
Very good. So the master of yogis, right? So that he is also called as the master of mystic yogas. That's why we can see that the Lord has so much of energies, so much of opulences. One among them is what? Yogic powers. So that's why he's called as Yogeshwara Akhila Guru. Who says that? Anybody remembers? Can you say that? In one of the verses of the prayers.
Kunti prayers.
Kunti Mataji, Prabhuji.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Very nice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Great. So, Yogeshwara. So, imagine the powers of Krishna and imagine the wonderful Dwaraka now. You can imagine that. Here itself, we are wondering, and the creator or the yogi powers, Kardama Muni himself is astonished. Imagine what would be the situation of Dwaraka and what opulence would be in the standards. So, as we see here, let us get into the purport quickly. The purport, it is explained. Kardama Muni, being a saintly person, was living in a humble hermitage, as I told you, right? When he saw the palace constructed by his yogic powers, which was full of resting rooms, rooms for sex enjoyment, inner and outer yards, he himself was astonished. So one can understand how a devotee is astonished. But did he fall in a trap to that? No, this is very important. Because he knows these are all Mahamaya. Right? Or Mahamaya. Which one it is? These are all Mahamaya. So he was not attracted by this, but he understood this is astonishing. because the yogic powers have got so much of energy and so much of opulence. So here he was not completely inclined towards that. The same situation will also come to Devahuti after a few verses we can understand. That's why it talks about the chapter, it says lamentation of, who is that? Devahuti. Right. Let's get into the further purport here. That's the way a God-gifted person. Who is that? Kardama Muni is a God-gifted person. A devotee like Kardama will not be attracted by this such opulences because he knows he has to take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, not to take a shelter of this yogic powers. But unfortunately, nowadays there are so many false Swamiji. They have got some powers and they do some gimmicks and people are after it. And they are completely blindfolded by these powers, mystic powers. So not to mention any, but we have to understand this is Kali Yuga, there will be also cheating gurus. That's what Prabhupada explains. Then further, devotee of Kardama is not affected by that. But when the opulences was produced, he himself could not understand how much manifestation could it be possible. So that means the yoga powers have got so much of manifestations. Imagine the master of mystics, Krishna, how much he can do manifestations. So many he can. So each and everything we have to compare with the Supreme Lord and the opulences. It is only a spark of the opulence. That's what Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita also. Okay. So when a yogi power is exhibited, the yogi himself is sometimes astonished. Okay, moving on to the next sloka. Oh, sorry, here I have to compare that bed. Andal Nachya talks about it. I will quickly describe it. Okay. It is verse number 19. She says, Kuttu vilakkariya kottukkal kattil mel, mettenda panchasayanathil mel eri, kottalar pungudal nappinnai kongai mel, vaittu kidanna malarhaka. So here, Andal Nachya talks about the Lord is lying down on a cot, and the cot is made up of very special sandalwood, and the legs are made up of what? The wonderful tusk. What is that? Tusk of the elephants. So it's all look like a white legs. And what is made up of? Elephant's tusk. So on top of it, who is lying down? Krishna is lying down. On what? It is a bed. And what type of bed it is? Mettanda Panchasayanam. Here, there are 5 type of qualifications or opulence mentioned for this bed wherein the Lord is lying down on that, as described in Andal Nachya. It has got the softness, it has got the pure whiteness, and it has got all the comforts, and it has got all the what is that? Medical qualities. Nowadays we talk about medicated bed, no? So all these opulences were there, and Krishna was lying down on that. So this is what Andal Nachya talks about it. So can you imagine, Andal Nachya describes it in the Kali Yuga. She appeared in the 6th, 7th centuries, right? And she describes about the wonderful cot and the wonderful bed on which the Lord was lying down in Vrindavana. So she brought the complete mood of Vrindavana to her own native village, which is called as Srivilliputur, which is one among the 108 Divya Deshams of the Sri Vaishnavas. Okay. So let's move on to sloka number 22. Idrigraham tat pashyantim nati pritena chetasa sarva bhuta shaya bhi Nyaha Pravochat Kardama Swayam. Kardama Swayam means he himself was completely astounded. Kardama Swayam. Okay. So what is the sloka again? Let us try to read. Idrig Graham Tat Pashyantim. Idrig Graham Tat Pashyantim Nati Pritena Chetasa Sarva Bhuta Shaya Vignaha Abhignaha. Right? What is the meaning? Abhignaha. Where is that word Abhignaha comes? Anybody remembers? Quickly say that. Where is the word Abhignaha comes in the Bhagavatam?
Shloka. Abhijna Swarat.
Abhigya Swarat.
Very good, wonderful, wonderful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. You're all very, very influential and powerful. Wonderful. Good memories. Good. Okay. So moving on to that, Sarva Bhutashaya Vijnaha Pravochate Kardama Swayam. Okay, now we can get into the synonyms and translations.
Sharmila Mataji, you can do the synonyms, and now Kishori Mataji, the translation and purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Synonyms. Idrak, such. Graham, house. Tat, that. Pashyantim, looking at. Na ati pritena, not much pleased. Chetasa, with the heart. Sarva Bhuta, of everyone. Ashaya Abhijna, understanding the heart. Pravochat, he addressed. Kardama, Kardama. Swayam, personally. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Pranam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When he saw Devahuti looking at the gigantic opulent palace with her displaced heart, Kardama Muni could understand her feelings because he could stay the heart of anyone. He could study the heart of anyone. Thus, he personally addressed his wife as follows. Purport: Devahuti had spent a long time in the hermitage, not taking much care of her body. She was covered with dirt, and her clothing was not very nice. Kardama Muni was surprised that he could produce such a palace, and similarly, his wife Devahuti was also astonished. How could she live in that opulent palace? Kardama Muni could understand her astonishment, and thus he spoke as follows. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
So when we talk about the siddhis, what siddhis? Yogic siddhis. When we say that yogic siddhi, we have to understand one important thing. There are 8 types of yoga siddhis, right? Mahima, Lagina, right? What is that? Anima, Mahima, Lagina, right? So like that, there are 8 siddhis. So all siddhis were achieved by Kardama Muni because Kardama is so powerful. And he could read the mind of his wife. Similarly, when we get into the Ramayana also, we glorify Anjaneya so much, right? We are all reading the Hanuman Chalisa, right? It comes one line. What is that? Ashta Siddhi. Navakiti. What is that? Anybody remembers that verse? Can say that?
Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi ke data.
So that means imagine the power of Hanuman and imagine the yogic powers of Hanuman, right? So Hanuman is the top class devotee of Rama, and he utilized all his siddhis only in the service of Sri Rama. So when he was requested to go to Lanka to find out Sita Mata, he utilized all his siddhis because he can be the smallest of small and the biggest of big. We read in the Bhagavatam, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. What the Shastra explains about Krishna, he can be the smallest of the small, and Krishna can become the biggest of the big. Same powers Hanuman had it, and Hanuman displayed it only in the services of Lord Ramachandra. Right? Similarly, here also Kardama Muni had all the opulences and all the siddhis, he perfected it. But he didn't utilize it for his personal enjoyment. Just to please heart of his wife, who is that? None other than Devahuti. Devahuti is also a wonderful devotee of the Lord. She is not a normal woman because she is the son of Swayambhu Manu. So naturally she possesses all the greatness and devotion. So when she was staying in the small hermitage of Kardama, she was completely maintaining a simple way of life. And she was maintaining all austerities. So Kardama felt it, she has to enjoy things. And she was given such a wonderful palace. Above this palace, this is nothing. When we talk about the next few shlokas, we will be talking about it, the wonderful plain which Kardama made it. So this is an amazing one. nowadays we get into this so many airlines and we talk about Emirates, this and that. This is nothing. When we talk about the glorification of the Vimana Kardama Muni created. Similarly, Lord Ramachandra, when he traveled from Lanka to Ayodhya, the Vimana is also described so much about it. It can carry lakhs and lakhs of people, and there are so many wonderful arrangements in that. So here also, the gigantic opulent palace, when Devahuti saw it, she was completely pleased. And she could understand, Kardama has understood her mind. Right? That's why it says, when he saw Devahuti looking at the gigantic opulent palace with a displeased heart, right? What happened? She was not comfortable. That's why the lamentation starts. Right? So moving on to that, Kardama Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of everyone. Thus, he personally addressed his wife as follows. This is a very important conversation. Actually, we will not be touching that conversation much. Only one shloka will touch it. Let us try to understand this first purport. Devahuti had spent a long time in the hermitage, not taking much care of her body. See that? Automatically the association makes, because if you look at it, Devahuti is a very rich, opulent lady coming from Swayambhu Manu. She was so rich, but she observed all the penance, all the austerities which is meant in a life of a hermitage of a sage. So what did she do? She did not care of her body. She was covered with dirt and her clothing were not at all very nice. We can see similar situation with Sita Mata also. When she was separated from Lord Rama, she observed all these things. She did not take care of her body. She was not concerned about the clothing. She was having all this dust and everything. And interestingly, this Ravana came and so many times told her, come out with all this beauty like that. But she was very clearly telling, after plucking a grass and telling the grass, addressing Ravana, I will not dress up, I will not take care of my body till Lord Rama comes and takes care of me and protect me from your wickedness. So like that here, Devahuti was observing so much penance, and Kardama surprised her with such a wonderful palace. And similarly, his wife Devahuti also astounded by that. How could she live in that opulent palace? Imagine that. This is what I'll tell you, don't mistake me. When we live in a village, we can be satisfied. But unfortunately, some reason or other, the desire comes and we are moving to the cities. And we come into the so much multi-storied buildings, living in a flat and becoming flat after certain years due to the AC and whatnot, right? So the flat and apartments does not have opulence. The life in a village is always glorious and full of opulence and full of all health also. So here also, Devahuti is feeling what I will do in this opulent palace. Kardama Muni could understand her astonishment, and thus he spoke as follows to her. I tell you, we get n number of lessons. I tell you, it's only a description of the palace and the feelings of Kardama and Devahuti. In that, we can get so much of lessons. How to live simple. This is what Prabhupada says repeatedly. So moving on to shloka number 23. Nimajyasmin hrade biru vimanam idam aruha idam shukla kritam tirtam ashisham yapakam naranam nimajyasmin harade biru vimanam idam aruha idam shukla kritam tirtam ashisham yapakam naranam. Generally, when we are tired, when we are having so much of neglecting our body, the body gets tired. Especially on Ekadashi day, when we observe Ekadashi in full sincerity. But nowadays, all the Ekadashi days are with so much of varieties of prasadam. Hare Krishna, Mataji is smiling. Huh? So that means we have to restrict all these things. See, that day is meant for austerities and penances. But nowadays, I don't want to comment more. So this much of varieties of prasadams are not entertained generally. So here also we can understand, here the Kardama Muni is telling his wife, go and have a bath. What is that? Kritam Tirtham, take a bath. What happens? The moment you take a bath in a river, after so much of penance and austerity, you get rejuvenated. The same thing we can learn it from the Bhagavatam many places, not one. So when we look at Narada Muni, after taking so much of lessons from the sages, after his mother passed away, he moved from Dakshina Bharat to Himalayas. He was walking all the distance. Everywhere, whenever he was tired, he went to a sarovar, he went to a river, took bath, and relieved all his tiredness. That's why on Ekadashi day, when we take 2-3 baths or any fasting day, all our tiredness will go. Especially on Ekadashi day, on the Janmashtami day, we observe so much of time, no? Austerity. So this is also important. But at the same time, I want to say one more thing. Prabhupada many times he used to say, and even my Guru Maharaj also used to say, we can observe all the vratas and austerities provided the health cooperates. That's also very important. So based on our health conditions, we have to observe this. But when we are fit for all these austerities, we must do it in full sincerity. So this is what the thing. So moving on to that further in this.
Shripriya Mataji, Hare Krishna, you can read the synonyms and translation. I'll read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry, I didn't give time. Sorry, continue.
Hare Krishna. Synonyms. Nimajya after bathing. Asmin in this. Hriday in the lake. Viru, O fearful one. Vimanam airplane. Idam this. Aruha ascent. Idam this. Shukla Kritam created by Lord Vishnu. Tirtham sacred lake. Asisam the desires. Yapakam bestowing. Drinam of human. Translation by Srila Prabhupada.
One minute. It is Hrade, not Hriday. Hriday means heart. Here it is Harade. That's why it's like, yeah, continue.
Translation. My dear Devahuti, you look very much afraid. First bathe in the lake Bindu Sarovar, created by Lord Vishnu himself, which can grant all the desires of the human being, and then mount this airplane. Purport. May I, Mataji?
Yeah, read.
It is still the system to go to places of pilgrimage and take a bath in the water there. In Vrindavan, the people take bath in the river Yamuna. In other places, just Prayaga, they take bath in the river Ganges. The word Tirtham Asikam Yapakam refer to the fulfillment of desires by bathing in the place of pilgrimage. Kardama Muni advised his good wife to bathe in the lake Bindu Sarovar so that she could revive the former beauty and luster of Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna. So here we can see her beauty, everything gone with her austerities. That's why nowadays people take up dieting according to the dietitian. They always lose all those things, weight and something. Same way here, Devahuti was so beautiful because she is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. But when she observed all these austerities in the hermitage, she lost all her beauty and other things. But Kardama Muni had a wonderful plan. He said to her, go and take in this Sarovar. What is that Sarovar? Bindu Sarovar. So automatically when they take the bath, all the tiredness is gone, all the dirt or whatever it is gone, all their beauty is brought back. That's why I said rejuvenated. So the moment the mind, everything is rejuvenated, you will have lots of different type of desires. So all these desires also will be fulfilled when we go to such austerity places, right? Dhamma, right? What is that? Very, very important is pilgrimage place. But what type of desires we have to have, that we have to decide. Not any material desires, all these spiritual desires we should have. So here Kardama Muni asked her to take bath. After taking bath, asked her to board the flight. What is that? Board the plane. So this Bindu Sarovar is nothing but special blessings from Vishnu himself. That's why he said, get into that and all your desires will be fulfilled. At this stage, we can understand here this Devahuti wanted to beget a child through Kardama Muni, and Kardama Muni blessed her with his mystic powers, a child. So while taking bath in the Bindu Sarovar, she prayed to the Lord for a son like Krishna himself. And the Lord blessed her the same thing. That's why we get the story of the Kapila Deva. Right? So that verses will come later. So here also, Kardama indirectly asked her to desire and ask for any special blessings from Vishnu himself. That's why it is written here. Right? Bindu Sarovar created by Vishnu himself. Grant all desires of human beings. That's also mentioned here. Then the mounting of the airplane. So such a wonderful description and such a wonderful okay, in this connection, I wanted to just quickly say, when we talked about the palace and other things, I remembered the Ramayana, wherein you might have all read this portion called the Sundarakanda. Sundarakanda, wherein Lord Rama's opulences are seen in a different style, right? And how the opulences are displayed? Through Hanuman. Hanuman was given all the powers, and when he did all the mystic powers, everybody was wondering over it, and how he overcome all the obstacles to go to Lanka also. After reaching Lanka also, we can see he is going through the palaces and he is wondering over it. And he felt much pity for Ravana. He was not angry with him. This is the devotee's mood. So Hanuman was pitying on Ravana. Such a powerful Brahmana, Ravana has spoiled all his lifetime by taking a wrong step and trying to do a atatayinaha. Atatayinaha means doing most sinful or heinous act, as Bhagavad Gita says, grabbing others' wives. So when he saw the palaces and other things, all the beauty, all the opulence were completely astonishing Hanumanji. So that is also that. Okay, let's get into the today's entire 7 verses in short. I will summarize it. It talks about the palaces, and the palace floors were completely full of sapphire, and the walls were diamond, which were all completely studded with pearls and different bluish sapphire and so on. And all the what is that, toranas will be covered with golden things, and the kumbhas were also again with golden things. So like this, there were so much of opulence. And finally, Kardama Muni asked her to see that wonderful palace, and she is astounded, and he is also astounded. And Kardama could understand the power of mystic powers, and he utilized it in the service of Krishna, like Hanuman. And finally, he instructed his wife to get into the Bindu Sarovar to take a bath to fulfill all her desires by the mercy of Vishnu, and ask her to get into the special Vimana which is ready for her to travel. Hare Krishna, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, I wanted to say a few words about His Holiness Gopala Krishna Swami Maharaj. Do you have some time?
Yes, Prabhuji, we do have time.
Because it's a must, we have to glorify the great Vaishnava at least for some more days. It's very important. So we have to glorify all the days, but at least in the immediate few days we wanted to. As Maharaj, you know pretty well, he appeared in the Delhi in 1944, and he did all his graduations in Delhi. For further studies, he was moving to France. At that time, his younger sister was in there. So his parents are all following the Arya's Vedic cultures, and they were following their complete Aryan civilizations. They were all so much into pious activities and God-conscious activity. So Maharaj's father gave a wonderful Bhagavad Gita book, and it was given to his sister to be handed over. Then Maharaj was so much interested in spiritual knowledge, and as he got a special sponsorship or the scholarship from the French government, he was sent to McGill University in Montreal. Maharaj did the Master of Business Administration. He got 2 master's qualification in olden days. Imagine that. That is the power of a pure devotee. And how he utilized it, this is very important. We have to learn again. With all his material qualifications, he put it in the service of Krishna as instructed by his Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada was looking for someone who can spread the Krishna consciousness in the Bharatavarsha, because Prabhupada was focusing in around all the other various countries. He could not focus. So he wanted a disciple who can pick up this. So in 1968, 67, he got the darshan. In 68, he got the complete other initiation, other things. Then he got into the Grihastha Ashrama. In the Grihastha Ashrama also, he was performing very well. Parallelly, he was doing spiritual activity. In 1973 or 74, he was given the GBC membership, which is very special for him. He was given so many tasks. The first task is to translate all his English books into Hindi primarily and other languages. Later on, he translated the books with the help of other devotees from Gujarat, Maharashtra, and various languages. And he was given the primary task of printing so much of books for the BBT. And Maharaj was telling himself, first attempt when he went and tried to sell books, he could not sell much books. He went and reported to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was telling, my disciples are not very sincere and full of energy. Otherwise, they would have sold all those books. My books are so important. Then when he came back, he instructed all his disciples and God brothers to do with full strength. Then they sold all the books. So this is the way Maharaj took up the distribution of books. With all the distribution of books, he made so many devotees and so many wealthy persons started contributing. One among them is Hindujas. They have contributed so much. And Maharaj, with a small temple in east of Kailash, it was a small temple in olden days. And many times, His Holiness Bhakti-Vikas Maharaj was telling, it is such a small area wherein there was not much place for discussion. Also, Prabhupada visited, and that small place has become such a huge temple now as Radha Parthasarthi temple in in east of Kailash. In addition to that, Maharaj has built 17 temples, all are opulent temples. Similarly, Maharaj has been instrumental and has been encouraging other states also to build wonderful temples like the Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra. So we can see so many temples, even in Pune also Maharaj has done so much. So this way he has contributed so much to all these temples. And Maharaj has done so much to the GBC and everything. So this way Maharaj has contributed, and he has told all his disciples to stick on to Krishna consciousness, not to live, and remain united. This is a very important word. What he has said is cooperation, because Prabhupada was also telling about the cooperation, and Maharaj has also repeated the importance of cooperating. Cooperation is very much among the devotees important. Hare Krishna. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any questions, any doubts, any comments? Make it fast.
Devotees, you can raise your hands so that we can ask questions. Prabhuji, yeah, we have time.
We have got little time, very little
Yes,
time.
Prabhuji, yes. Suma Mataji, you can ask a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. From Prabhuji, pranams, Prabhuji. In one of the purport, Prabhuji, it has been given like when he created a palace like so big and so huge, he himself was astonished, and it was like Maya what he felt. This is what I could understand, Prabhuji. So
He was not attracted. See, I'll tell you, yogic powers can do wonderful, opulent things. But one should not get attracted to this, because the goal is the lotus feet of the Lord, not to get attracted to these things. Clear? Because yogic powers will give astonishment, no doubt about it. It has got opulence. But all this opulence should be channelized in the service of Krishna. That's very important.
Oh, so it is it like Maya, Prabhuji, or he can consider that as blessings of the Lord? No, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
so I'm not able to understand.
Level of bhakti, they can convert this into a service of Krishna. Like Hanuman, as I told you, Kardamamani. Similarly, in our life also, when we get much bigger positions, promotions, when we get big salaries, we must always remember it. It's all the mercy of Krishna and the powers of Krishna, and we have to put it in the service of Krishna. Automatically, we will not get entangled into that. Clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. It's all given by the Lord himself to test us. No?
Yes. That's very
Hare. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. Hare.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for engaging us in the nectarian words of Srimad Bhagavatam, spending time for us and giving us your association. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Can we end this session because I don't see any raised hands? So if you,
Okay.
with your permission, with prayers.
Put it in the group, we can see that also later on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha
Thank you so much.
Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Grace Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Important. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, thank you so much.
Wonderful session.
You are all
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Should I end the session, Prabhuji, with your permission?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, shall I end the